What's up, YouTube? All right, let's start off Sunday coffee. The little ToTo. What is it doing this song? Dude, come on, Steve Lukather, gotta give it up for that. Listen to that. Anyway, somebody get this guy some Grammys. Okay, so I want to talk about this amp. It's a Naylor Duel 60, and I heard about these from a couple buddies, Mark and Noel. Thank you guys. It's been a great amp. I got this in 2012, I think, and it's been good. And if I had to describe it, I think I would say it's the most boring basic amplifier out there. It's so boring. If you look at the back panel, there's some blanks for like extra options. I don't have any of those. There's effects loop, speaker out. You can set the ohms like you'd expect, and you can plug in power. That's it. On the front, you have this one has one input, channel switch, and then you've got presence, bass, middle, treble, a master volume, and you have a clean level and like how much gain. It couldn't be simpler. And so you're probably thinking, so what? There's like a million 2-channel amps out there. Who cares about this one? Well, the reason you care about it is it doesn't matter where you set the knobs. It always sounds good. That means it's the opposite of a Mesa Boogie Mark IV. We have to carefully dial it in. You have to know about, okay, I need to make it sound bad here so I can fix it at the EQ at the end. None of that. It just always sounds amazing. And then check out the master on this. This is a 412 vintage 30s. I think, well, this sounds amazing. I have a matching open back 112 with also V30s that sounds so good. This volume, I don't know what it sounds like over the phone, but I can talk over this. This is whisper volume. I'm guessing the acoustic sound is picking up more in the mic. So the master on this amp it's like an audio amplifier. Like it just works. Now, yeah, if you crank it up and you start breaking up the power amp, it gets a little more wild, like wild to control, which is cool, like any cranked amp. So yeah, there's that. But if you've ever played like a JCM 900, I set the camera a little low. If you've ever played like a JCM 900 at low volume, no one wants to look at my bald head. They get like really fizzy at low volumes. Like it sounds bad until you crank up the power amp and it's like really moving air and you're getting the power amp section sounding right. And that's what, like, let's be honest, a lot of tube amps have like a sweet spot or like a range where they sound really good, and you've got to get it up to this level, and then you got to go spend more money and get a hot plate or a fry at power station or something, and like have this has to be too loud, so I'm going to bring down the volume with this other piece of gear and like all this complexity. And it does work. It sounds great, and it makes really good amps usable. And you can put an effects loop and a plexi. Like, I like all that stuff. But with this amp, it would be pointless. Like, totally pointless. It just has that super smooth, super creamy sound at any volume. The amps I had before this, I had a lot over the years, but specifically before this, I had a VHT Pitbull Super 30, which is like the Fryette one. And man, it had this jump at low volumes where it's like too quiet and gross sounding to too loud, the sound guy hates me. And it's like a millimeter apart. I don't know how many gigs it was like trying to split the difference so the guy doesn't get pissed. So frustrating. And there is none of that with this. It's totally smooth wherever. Now, the other magic thing about what sounds great is it doesn't matter how much gain you put on. Like, it sounds good no matter where the gain is. Which is, like, really? Like, this is crazy. So, yeah, it's got tons on tap. It's a Marshall-style preamp, but Dave King, the guy who owns the company, said like a lot of the magic of the amp is in the present circuit, however they do that, and that basically helps the master always sound good. I don't know. I'm not an amp repair guy or tech or designer or anything. But yeah, it sounds great. And the clean tone on it, this amp is known for the dirty channel. I should have set these up better beforehand, but the clean on this is great. Now it's like super clean. So I have a Barber LTD SR that I use for like the kind of break it up some. But anyway, so really good cleans, like really good cleans. I don't find I need a compressor on this clean much. I can just go straight through, put a little reverb delay because I'm a sucker for that. And man, it smokes. I have a Wagner Shiva, which gear page people will tell you the clean on that's amazing. I like this one better. The Wagner, I almost have to have a compressor on it, and you really have to dial in the right volume and stuff. It is a good clean, but to me, this is way more practical and usable. Hang on, I got a kid. No, that's over. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so the only reason I ever knew of these amps growing up was, you guys remember the Guitar Player or Guitar World, the buyer's guide catalogs? They were like extra thick, and it was pages and pages of just everything everybody makes. It's probably like the most boring thing to read, but back in the day, I don't know, I would read these a lot, like way more than a normal person should. That's how I like recognized like the Anderson logo, James Tyler, Naylor was one of them. So one of these early kind of boutique amps, right? Like, so obviously there was like Mesa, hit it really big, Soldano, Matchless came onto the scene and like really took the boutique stuff to the next level. And Naylor was, I think, I want to say early '90s. I don't know the dates exactly, but you have Joe Naylor who's probably more well known for the Reverend stuff now. At one point, it was Danny Russell, who Dave Friedman has said he's his favorite amp guy. I forget the third guy's name, Eric something. I should have looked this up before making this video. I did not. Excuse me. So they made amps in Detroit for a number of years, and then kind of had a falling out or something wasn't working. So I think the third guy, whose name I'm blanking on, took the company for a while, and then at some point they sold to Dave King, who lives here in Dallas, where I'm out of the greater Dallas area. Dave's been making them for a long time, and I think most people don't know about these or haven't played them because, man, they just don't make very many. Like, there's a big thread on the gear page about people waiting 3-4 years to get their amp. Like, it's slow production. Obviously, the whole COVID thing didn't speed anything up for anybody, and yeah, just a lot of people don't know these exist. They sound good. Well, I shouldn't say they sound good. They sound great, like really good. And it's the most practical amp you can own, in my opinion, because it doesn't matter where you set the knobs; it's gonna sound good. Like, I think that's the best feature in the world. Like, I remember as a kid, I had a dual rectifier. Everybody had a dual rectifier. This was one of the old, I think it was a G1, right when they switched to the chicken head knobs. Somebody else knows what version that is but me. The little chicken thing, a little pointer on it, not the gold BB. And the back of that has a switch, like you can switch the rectifier. And you listen to the solid state, and you listen to the tube one, and you're like, I was always like, I don't really hear much difference. But tube is good, so you just leave it on tube, right? You're hearing with your eyes, or at least that's what I did as a kid. And there's just no silly option BS stuff on this amp. You just done, and it sounds amazing. I can't stress how cool that is. And at any volume, at any gain level, like there's no sweet spot on the amp. That's a huge feature. And it's the most boring thing to talk about, but it is so cool in reality. So again, this is my main amp for 10 years. It still is, I consider, like the top one I have. I got the Ecstasy, about a year ago, and I've been playing that as my daily driver right now, just because it is something different. But I would describe the sound of the Dirty Channel on this. It's not that different from the Blue Channel and the Ecstasy. This one's maybe a little, I don't know, thicker sounding, which is good or bad, depending on that. I'm bad at describing amp sounds and the responsiveness and stuff, but there's something just really cool about how the Naylor sounds, and I'm really glad I got one. So while I know people on the gear page are frustrated with the time and how long it's taking to get their orders, I would just tell you, I think it's worth it to hang in there to get one. About a year ago, so the original power tubes in this amp lasted over a decade, and that was with crazy amount of like daily practice on this amp. I used to take it to my regular church gig, where it would stay on for like 6-7 hours in the morning, like half a day basically, and rehearsals and stuff. So these power tubes had crazy hours on them, and so that original set, it's lasted a really long time. It's amazing. And so I, when they crapped out, I called Dave. Man, like next day he did the bias, new tubes, everything, whipped it like crazy fast turnaround. Super nice guy. So I don't know what to tell you, man. I feel for people who've been waiting a long time, but I can't say, at least in my experience, Dave's been really good, and super nice guy. Yeah, he did tell me that if he ever sells the company, it'll probably go back to Joe. And I know that because I did try to buy it from him because I think these are great. Like I would love to set up a shop and just make these, which I could learn how to do. But that's not. I know Chris, the guy from Rocket Pedals, was trying to, or at least I imagine he was trying to pick them up at one point. But yeah, anyway, super cool amp. If you ever get a chance to get your hands on, or if you see one used for sale, you should totally buy it. There's one of these on Reverb at the time I'm filming this. They're asking $6 for the head and the 212. That's a lot of money, but it's worth it. I have heard from a buddy that the 212s do not sound as good as their 112s or 412s. I think he was very harsh on it and said it's like the worst 212 you could ever buy or own. I've never played one. I don't know. I just know that this amp loves vintage 30s. A lot of people prefer it with greenbacks or a Jensen style, which is kind of the Naylor speaker was based on. But just if you just plug it into vintage 30s, it smokes. It's killer. Yeah. Anyway, so some ways boring amp, but like the simple things it does so well that it still is mind-boggling to me how quiet I can get it. The range of gain, everything is just, every amp should work like that, but almost none of them do in the tube space. So anyway, that's it. This is my my Sunday ramble. By the way, thanks for everybody who's been watching my annoying videos. I do appreciate that in the comments. It's been super fun just chatting, going back and forth. I like that. I have no ambitions of becoming an actual YouTuber who makes money off of this, but just hanging out with people, talking guitars is like, I love this stuff. So thank you. Oh, and one other thing, one of Tom Bukovac's videos, when he started the homeschooling thing, I remember him specifically saying, some people think ToTo is like, he's like, these people act like it's the second coming, or like they're better than the Beatles or something. And, you know, he's of course poking fun at people like me. And I remember thinking that was so funny because I'm that guy he's making fun of. So he's probably right to make fun of me. But anyway, who doesn't like Steve Lukather anyway? What's the matter with you? Anyway, all right, cheers, Steve.